You guys, we are so lucky to have two of my favorite people from one of my favorite podcasts and one of my favorite Instagram accounts. They have been so amazing to me and this show. And I'm so excited to have them on, not only to talk about pop culture, but we're going to dig into Kardashians. I don't want to hear any groans out there. Because I've always said, you need to study the Kardashians. They are part of the fabric of pop culture. And this is what this show is about. This is part of what their show is about and part of their brand. And I think they need to be studied and celebrated and all that jazz. Season 4 of The Kardashians premieres September 28th. But today, two of my favorite people, Emma Diamond and Julie Kramer from the podcast and the Instagram account Comments by Celebs. Welcome, ladies.
Oh my God, what an intro. Thank you so much for having us.
I can't believe I am sitting with you guys in the same room because I usually do this over some sort of Wi-Fi connection.
We can't believe we're sitting in the same room.
Yeah,
we do it over a Wi-Fi connection too.
Just to get you, I thought this was such a shot in the dark to even get you here. And then I was like, they're not going to happen. There's no way they will actually come here. And then you said yes. And I was like, oh man, she called my bluff. And then she said, I'm bringing, I was like, no, Julie's coming too. I was like, this is huge.
First of all, we're so excited that you're in New York.
I'm a New York guy now.
There's so many things happening, and this is the kind of, your first at Betches.
Yes, thank you for celebrating this with me because I'm so
God.
excited to be here. And you guys were like one of the templates of people that I really look up to. And I know I'm way older than you, and I know, but first off, just really, really nice people. And you've proven that in so many ways to me, especially in this last couple of months. But just the level of detail you guys have for your brand, of course, Comments by Celebs, they have so many different pages, Instagram pages of the actual initial idea where it's like the best idea where it's just celebrities commenting on other Instagram posts.
It's as simple as that, yes, but there's something about that just feels like we're pulling the curtain back. I don't know, for us, we're still excited about it, 6 years later, and so it's really fun, and I think cool for us that other people are excited also.
And then on top of that, you do the podcast, which actually focuses, you're now doing a rewatch of the Kardashians, or Keeping Up with the Kardashians season 7, I believe. And also you'll be talking about the Kardashians, but then you have pop culture episodes as well. You cover the bases. But if you listen to these podcasts, you guys out there, which I highly recommend that you do if you don't, I mean, you have such a fine attention to detail on that as well. By the way, poor Julie, she's just like, is this guy for real?
No, I was just thinking how before we started the episode, you were saying like you usually approach it in such a more comical way, and we have such like a seriousness behind it. And I was thinking, as you were saying, I was like, I feel like every single episode we go into, I'm like, I'm going to be funny about this. Like, it doesn't have to be that deep. And then every time we talk about it, I'm like, nope, I can't do that. Like, I have to fully dive in.
Well, I mean, I just think there is such I look at everything kind of through a comic lens anyways, but then when you start talking about pop culture, you can't help but relate to it personally. I mean, we know that with Scandal and all of that stuff. Your actual emotions come out, you relate it to your own life in some ways. But the Kardashians, they always say they're America's first family, and we have such a history with them that it's the same thing. You were talking about on this week's podcast, you were like that relationship with Tristan and Kris Jenner. And I get I made the Stop Sleeping with Tristan Thompson shirt, which, it's still for sale, you guys, if you want any. I should gift you guys. But Stop Sleeping with Tristan Thompson. And for Kris Jenner to be there celebrating this man still makes me livid.
I mean, it's a conversation we have about Kris constantly because obviously, like, we pray to her, right? We're nothing but fans, admirers beyond. However, and it's a theme we have seen throughout the years, Kris is very, very forgiving to the men that have wronged them in the past, which obviously you could make the argument that potentially part of that is because she had an affair, when she was married to Robert Kardashian. She obviously relied on people around her forgiving her. And, possibly that has impacted the way she deals with these situations. And there's a balance, I just think, between being forgiving and then being overwhelmingly welcoming to someone who may not necessarily deserve it.
And you agree?
Oh, totally. Well, what's really interesting is that in our off season of When the Kardashians is on, like you said, we've been doing the rewatches of the old episodes. And so we've been doing all of them. Season 1, now we're on season 7, but all of the spinoffs in between. And so all of the current stuff that happens with them is so highlighted by their past stuff and stuff that we had forgotten about, and these little niche tiny lines that we would have never thought of. And so it's so interesting in this rewatch to be able to take such small minor things and connect them back. Like in the episode we just watched this week, it's the one where Chris is playing tennis and she looks up and she's like, who is that guy? And somebody goes, it's Todd Waterman, which is who she had the affair with 25 years ago and left Robert Kardashian for. And so all of this stuff is so relevant today still.
It really, going back and rewatching any sort of reality show, like a lot of people did with Vanderpump Rules, it is that it kind of sets up this history where it becomes like the Godfather trilogy or Game of Thrones, where you're like, this is so vast. And now we know exactly why Khloe is turned, because you used to see Khloe being the awkward one. And now to see how hard Khloe worked to get to where she is now. But it's interesting, we saw this more, I think, in season 2 or season 3, where it was like she did not seem all right. It was like on top of being cheated on multiple times by Tristan, the public perception of her where she couldn't do anything right, you saw it really getting to her. But we see that through all the seasons of the show.
I mean, when you rewatch, it's very clear how she got to kind of the point that she's in now, just in terms of her relationship with the media. Everyone wonders why is it that Khloe has such a hard time leaving the gates? It's like, because every time she does, she is ripped to shreds. The media and the public have been so unkind to her over the years, and it just comes up in such a way when you're rewatching it.
Just to go back to what I wanted to talk about is that season 4 comes out, like I said, September 28th, but they released a trailer of this. And I told you this when I bumped into you at the Roni party. I said, I really liked season 3 of the Kardashians.
Us too.
Loved.
I was like, this is like leaps and bounds better. And you can't even compare it to Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It's so much different. It's shot like cinematography, lighting, everything technically. Like they use the music now of like, I'm a boss girl. Like
they got that Beyonce clearance. Yeah, that's insane.
They spent $30 million for that roller skating scene.
Right.
At the beginning. Usually, it used to be where people would actually film and spend that much money and it would actually be a song that they had like sang or a rapper. No, this is just Kardashian skating.
Yeah.
It's Kardashian skating.
And we love it.
I wonder if they're going to start season 4 like that.
They're going to start it with something.
Like a Drake track or something.
Oh, a Drake track would take me out.
What if they do it with the drone cameras and it's like Khloe's at a Drake concert, you zoom in on her, and then the drone pulls up, you go over to a Beyonce concert, you go down and you see Kylie and Timothée Chalamet rocking, then you zoom up, then you go to Taylor Swift. Like, what if it's something insane like that?
Don't start with me. I mean, listen, the thing we have to talk about with just the Beyonce inclusion and all of this for a second, obviously we see Timothy and Kylie's really first outing at the Beyonce concert, which we could talk about till we're blue in the face. But also, the thing that cannot be forgotten in all of this is Corey Gamble is very close friends with Jay-Z. And so now Kris is entering the Beyonce Jay-Z world in a way that she hadn't previously. You have to remember when Kim and Kanye first started dating, it's rumored that one of the reasons Kanye had a falling out with Beyonce and Jay-Z is because of their disapproval of Kim and him dating a, quote, reality star. And so however many years later, what a 180.
Yeah, I mean, the day after her LA shows, Kris Jenner was spending, like, for Beyonce's birthday at, like, a barbecue.
A very intimate barbecue. I think it was at Beyonce's Malibu house. And I was saying to Em that it feels like for Kris Jenner and all she's accomplished that being in with Beyonce and Jay-Z is like the final frontier. It's like the last thing she has left. By the way, Harry and Meghan, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, like that is easy. To get through the gates of Beyonce's Malibu house, to be with her on an intimate celebration of her birthday after her LA concert, that is like something that if you told a 2009 Kris Jenner that was going to happen, I genuinely think with all she saw of the future, that would be the one thing she wouldn't believe you about.
Don't you want to know, like, does Kris Jenner do vision boards? Does she, like, I want to see what her goals are for the next year, because you're right about the Bezos stuff is that, like, 2 summers ago or even last summer, it was like Italy with Tommy Hilfiger and the gang. And
they're always on top. But
now Jeff Bezos has entered the equation. Like, they're just running around with Jeff, and Jeff isn't even like screamed at like Kris is at Beyonce's concert.
No, once you get to that level that she's at now, it's a whole other world.
How many years did it take? I mean, I know Kris has been working at this her whole life, but from when was the first year of Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
2007.
Was it?
Yeah, 2006, 2007.
Okay, so all you guys out here, just know that took 16 years, if I'm doing the math correctly. I'm not good at math. 16 years and you could be a legend. So start working today. You can do it. Don't give up. But isn't that insane?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And honestly, she became a legend a couple of years back.
No, sure. But I'm saying like,
for the final
13
frontier.
years. You can do it in 13 years. I'm just kind of blown away because it's easy to make fun of the Kardashians and Jenners. It's so easy. I love to do it. It's so fun. But to see what they did in terms of like they've turned pop culture on its head in mainly good ways, but some bad ways. I just don't know where you go from this point because if Kris landed Beyonce and Jay-Z, where else is there now? Taylor?
I mean, that would certainly be
certainly be something.
not the craziest thing.
Kris is listening, right? Taylor, let's...
I mean, what we're seeing with Kim, doing this VC firm, all that, this is like a different level.
Explain to the people when you say VC firm, explain to them what you mean by that, because I don't think people realize what she's a part of now.
I'm so happy she got that question instead of me.
No, this is huge. This is like people, it's under the radar too.
She basically, and I can't tell you the full details, but she basically collaborated with this guy, Jay Sammons, who's a huge, hedge fund finance guy, and has basically now put together this firm where they are investing in up and coming businesses across the board. I mean, we don't have access to that full portfolio, but there's money. And then they say, there's fuck you money. And Kim has already crossed over to fuck you money. But now we're
take
in
that Terry DeBro. Take that DeBros. That's a Real Housewives of Orange County joke.
Oh, no, don't worry. That
she knows.
I don't watch, but I know enough that like if I'm ever in a room and a broad enough reference is made, 100 times out of 100 times I'll get it. When we start getting into the niche stuff where like Isabel and Emma will be talking and they'll be talking about like Real Housewives of New York season 3, one specific moment, I'm like, you lost me. But other than that, I like to keep up enough.
Wait, do they ever make you feel isolated because of that? Do they ever like, you know what? It's not for you.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I'm really good at like, if I hear something that I don't understand, like I'll just let it go. Like I'm not somebody that if somebody's talking about something I don't understand, where I have to be like, wait, explain that to me. I'm like, I'm just happy to sit here and let you guys have fun. And then and then when I hear something that I get, I'll join back in the conversation.
Yes.
But Kim, that's why I think she is really scary smart lately, is that these things like VC firms and like we're talking already Skims like double or tripled their valuation within the span of like 2 years. But then the VC thing, I'm like, this is like undercover billions of dollars that she is having access to. And I'm really interested to see where this goes. But once again, the question is, when is enough enough? And, with Kris hanging out with Jeff Bezos, is that the next frontier? I mean, what is the next frontier?
I don't know that I could definitely call out what it is. I think a lot of it is going to be, the Kardashians are the least behind the scenes family there ever was, right? They are famous at the core for being reality stars. However, I do think the next thing is more behind the scenes investing in things that we're not aware of and we won't be aware of for a couple of years down the line. I mean, when you say when is enough, obviously it depends who you ask. But if you're asking Kim, I think she would look at you right now and say never.
If you're asking Courtney, it was about $100 million ago.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like, we said this at the time of the big Courtney and Kim fight where the thing that Courtney was so upset about, or the thing that Courtney kept digging into, was that she feels like it's never enough for Kim. Like Kim lives in this world of excess and that she doesn't understand her motivation for doing things because in Courtney's mind, the motivation, or the way that Courtney explains it, the motivation for Kim all comes from money or from a very greedy place. Whereas I think with Kim, the answer of like, enough is never enough. It doesn't come from how much is in the bank. Of course, that doesn't hurt. And of course, it's something she's trying to, continuously build up. But for Kim, that really comes from the ability to prove herself. And as long as there are people who, like you started the episode saying, like, don't groan at the Kardashians, as long as there are people that are groaning at the Kardashians, enough is never going to be enough for her.
Yeah.
That's why. But you're right. You're right. The Courtney relationship, I think, is so interesting, and they really kind of focused on that a little bit in season 3, and we see in the trailer for season 4, it opens up the trailer with a dual talking head. And for Housewives fans out there, you know what it's like when actually a husband will join the wife in a dual talking head. It's a very special moment in Housewives for any husband that gets to do that. But Courtney and Kim, to share a talking head after coming off the season that they came off of, I thought was very intense. And you can just... it's palpable how much they seem to dislike each other.
Well, I said to Em when we started the episode, I go, how often do you go to joint confessional with two motherfuckers that hate each other?
Yeah, it's really, it made me uncomfortable. And I was like, do you both not want to be here? And then I was like, is this AI? Is Courtney even there? This could be digitally done by George Lucas.
No, I am so deeply obsessed with that because I don't believe this is just some petty fight for the show. I truly believe these are two sisters who, yes, of course, love each other at the core, but truly, if they were not sisters, would never be friends. I think they can fundamentally not stand one another, honestly. And we just get so lucky to be able to view that. Because if they...
we get so lucky to watch this trauma.
I mean, we do. Last season, and I have so many things to say. Last season, with the huge fight, with the wedding and all of that, when you actually watch their confrontation between the two of them, Kim was calm as ever, right? When Courtney was explaining to her hurt, when the scene
when she was reading the list on the phone?
No, when Kim came over to Courtney's house.
Yeah.
Kim, in that moment, didn't really retaliate. She was like, you know what? I understand you're hurt. I get why you're upset. In a lot of ways, she kind of conceded. Would you say that's fair? It was only in her confessional when she says the Andrea Bocelli line, when she says, you saw my fucking wedding country, all of that. So we, as the viewer, got that from her confessional. What we're seeing now in the trailer is their fight on the phone, where all of that aggression that you could tell she had in her confessional, she's saying directly to Courtney. We haven't really seen that most recently because a lot of the drama was when they weren't actually, talking to one another.
I mean, this all started also a couple of seasons on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Was that the final season with the hit in the bedroom?
Yes.
When Courtney came at Kim and it was like, you don't like the face. That's really, that was like a watershed moment. And I think we've been in the wake of that drama ever since.
Oh, totally.
I mean, that was like, we don't talk about something we don't talk about enough. Do you realize Kim basically assaulted Courtney on the show in Khloe's bedroom?
No, that scene's my Roman Empire.
Yes.
Also, I mean, people talk about how Banksy, the graffiti artist, will he'll do a graffiti on a wall, and then people have tried to take that wall and put it in a museum. I would want to take that wall where the makeup smudge was. That's a piece of history.
I wish Khloe never cleaned it.
I know. Here she is with the magic eraser. I'm like, you don't realize what you're sitting on.
That's like $1 million right there. But that's how deep this family goes. And no families always go through things, right? My family's going through stuff with my mom and all of this stuff. But this family has something that we all don't, is that they're all famous in some sort of way. And that adds such a different level to all of this conversation.
For so many reasons, and also because of their ability, obviously it adds so much drama, it makes the stakes so much higher, but it also allows them to uniquely understand one another's struggles when it comes to dealing with things in the public eye. We always say that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I also think specifically with family stuff, it's like that shit gets dealt with behind closed doors 99% of the time. Like friend drama, when you see on Housewives in that sort of a way where people are fighting with their friends at dinner, that stuff is common to be out of the house.
Yeah.
We've all experienced our friends fighting. We've all experienced drama in that way. But when your friends have shit going on at home, especially when they're fighting to that extent, it's like, we keep that in the home. We keep that behind closed doors. And so for us to see the extent of their family issues and their family drama, even going back to Chris having an affair 25 years ago that we're being cued into season after season as it still unravels before our eyes, the aftermath of that so many years later, it's like, we're not supposed to know this.
No, we're not supposed to know it at all. I mean, somebody made a horrible joke at my mom's funeral or memorial. Was like, oh, I bet you're glad this isn't a reality show. And I was like, yeah, of course not. But also just think if it was. I mean, just think if it was. Everything is covered with them. I mean, sometimes I feel like they have held back a little bit, but at least, I mean, I still will want to always know the specifics about the Kanye stuff. I will want to know even, I've completely written that gentleman off in so many ways, but there is so much we don't know.
Gentleman's a bold word, yeah.
I gave him, I say trash bag. What is it? I call him baghead now, or shirthead.
He's a jackass.
He's truly a jackass, but there's so many things about even how Kim handles that and trying to be careful about walking this fine line of not letting the kids know, controlling that, Truman Show-esque. And I feel like that's really, that would destroy so many people trying to have that balancing act if you have so many kids with a gentleman that is off his meds potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that she has handled that is very admirable. Obviously, listen, selfishly, I want to know everything. I want to see every text message. I want to see every phone call. I want to hear the voice notes. I want it all. But I think she has given us as much as she feels comfortable knowing that it won't really make her life impossible at home. And I can understand that and respect that.
I also think one day, very far into the future, but one day we are going to get a lot of the answers to the things we've been wondering. I think she's, you know, the one thing about Kim that she always says, and this applies to Kanye and everybody else in her life, is she's sitting on those receipts. She's never going to use them before she needs to, but she's always sitting on them.
She archives everything. I wonder if it's the same digitally. I wonder if she's archived every message. She always says it. Because that's another thing I've always commented on this show, of just her archival process of that whole, she takes pictures, notes of every outfit. And she said, hey, Kanye told me to throw away, burn all of it. And she's like, no, I kept it. I'm like, yeah, you did. Of course you did. Like, she's sitting on his whole history as well.
That archive is one of the wilder things I've ever seen in my life. Just the level of organization, the attention to detail, and the foresight, the fact that she knew at the time that these things would be valuable on some level, not just with his stuff, but also with her things. You know, you have to believe in yourself when you are, quote, nothing, to know that some point in the future this is going to matter.
Yeah, do you think she saved oh, this is the cup I had the tummy tea out of originally? Like, do you think her early Spawn Con? Do you think it's that's but then she got
a pair of Skechers in the vault. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those first of all, if you have a pair of shape-ups, give them to me. I'm trying to.
She has one of the Carl's Jr. burgers from the commercial, and no, I mean, it is something that fascinates me, because even in that scene from last season when she's going through some of the archive, wasn't it which famous was it? Elizabeth Taylor's contract or something? She was like, "Oh, I bid on Natalie Wood."
Something can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was just in a box. I was like, she's even buying. Like, she bought Princess Diana's.
That motherfucker is present at an auction. Yes. If there is an auction, Kim Kardashian is there.
Yeah. Well, Princess Diana, one of her sweaters sold a couple days ago, and I was like, and my first thought was, it's Kim.
It could be.
It's Kim.
It easily could be. I think she's on Sotheby's like nobody's business.
Well, speaking of archival and Sotheby's and stuff like that, one of my favorite scenes from season 3 of the Kardashians was Kris Jenner bidding on Betty White's holiday, the mini house thing. Because she built a house, you guys, like a doll's house for every one of her kids. And she specified for each kid. She was like, she made a dollhouse for Rob, or it was like, we put a Dodgers thing in here. And I was like, the level of detail Kris Jenner put into these dollhouses, and the glee in which she was like, hire, win, like for everything Betty White owned for her dollhouses.
The best part about that was she was doing the bidding process while sitting in glam in Milan. It was so iconic. It was like, I couldn't have written it better.
That's how I feel. Talk about something that AI could never write.
Yeah, true.
That's it. But it's just, when I think about that, of just how much they do in a day, it exhausts me. Like, I just truly don't. And I guess some of us are built for that and some of us aren't. But it seems like Kris, from inception, if you even study, I've read about her as a little girl and MJ and that whole experience growing up, is that she has visualized this her entire life. And when you think about it like that, it adds this whole other level of this dynasty to it, that she always knew this is where she wanted to get.
Well, it's so interesting because there's a clip that's going around of a new Kardashian documentary that I guess is coming out where Caitlyn says, Kim has had this plan since the beginning.
Watch out, it's me, Caitlyn. Kim's had this plan from the beginning. Yeah.
And I think it's so funny because I've seen so many people posting like, wow, Caitlyn's really coming on here and exposing the Kardashians. It's like, you can't expose something that Kim has been so open about since the first time we've seen her on our screen.
Said that.
It's a line from Kim. Yeah.
Totally agree with that. If it's like, this is obvious. I hate when people put obvious stuff out and then it gets pulled. It's like a pull quote, like Caitlyn's revealing it all finally.
Right. I mean, Kim has been so transparent in the fact that this has been her goal since forever, since the first time she saw The Real World, since watching Paris Hilton, and traveling with her and seeing the way that she interacted with fame and wanting that for herself.
You remember that date with Nick Lachey? Remember that? But it was before the show. God. I remember that. That was my first, that and the Paris Hilton thing was my first foray into seeing Kim Kardashian for the first time.
I mean, if you go back to the earlier seasons, yes, Kris always had this foresight of what she thought the family could be. The difference was that in the beginning, no one else with the exception of Kim was really on board. They were all actually making fun of both Kris and Kim for taking it all so seriously. Meanwhile, Kris and Kim knew, guys, if we stick with this, it's going to get us somewhere. And the thing that Kim has always said since the beginning is she knew her as herself was not even remotely as enticing or would draw people in the way that her and her whole family would. She's like, I'm nothing without my family, and that I'm kind of boring. She's always said that. And so, yes, she's the businesswoman in a lot of ways behind it. But when it comes to the drama and comes to the familial dynamics, she always knew there was power in numbers. And so they made that happen.
And it'll be interesting. And they make that point in the trailer of there is still power in numbers. They will always be family. They will always work through this. But sometimes as people get older, like, and especially with the Kourtney relationship being so tested and Kourtney finding her true soulmate, I think, with Travis Barker and really leaning into that family experience, I do wonder if there will be potentially this permanent defection at some point.
I mean,
you guys, the chill in the you guys aren't here right now, but
God
everybody
forbid.
is just gasping.
The thing that I would say to that is, I don't know what the future of Kim and Kourtney's relationship on camera looks like. I think as far as Kim and Kourtney go as sisters, there's never going to be presumably a fight big enough that truly drives a wedge between them enough that that relationship no longer exists. Whether it exists on camera for the rest of the time, that's something that we don't know the answer to. But what I think they've started to expertly do is that they are now showing us the next generation of Kardashians. So when this generation of Kardashians is no longer somehow, some way enticing to us, it's like, oh, I forgot that North is now like the biggest fucking thing on the planet at 10 years old. Imagine what she's going to be at 20.
One of the last scenes in the trailer was like North's face, and I was like, clever. Just put like dipping her toe in the sand little by little each season.
Yeah, I mean, we've been following them. Think about it. We watched Kourtney literally pull Mason out of her.
Guys, if you don't know what she's talking about, on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, this is an iconic moment, was that Kourtney literally pulled her child out of her womb, and that was on television. And it was really this huge reality show moment, and one of Kourtney's best moments on the show.
I do wonder if that's something that she will do with now the birth of her fourth child that's upcoming, because she did it with the other two kids as well.
Maybe her and I bet her and Travis
pulling
will
it
both
out,
mutually pull it
They'll
out.
each get an arm,
I mean, I think that Kourtney, listen, it's no secret that filming is not her favorite thing, but I think filming when it comes to her role as a mother, specifically the pregnancy, I think she wants to cover that. I think that's the part that she wants to share, don't you?
The thing that I always say about Kourtney is that there has to be some part of her that still wants to do this, because she always talks about, this concept of, one day I'm just going to move out of LA and I'm going to live on a farm. And it's like, if you want to do it, go do it, because no one's forcing you to be here.
She's saving up. She's waiting to get the vitamin money. It's saving up for the. No, you're right. I mean, but I think Kourtney is that person, like a lot of us are out there, is that one day we are on top of the world. We're ready to take everything on. We want to do it all. And then the next day it's like, you know what? I'm just going to chill. I think she is conflicted in so many ways, and she's been trained by this family of fame assassins that know how to do this so well that I think there's a natural rebellion. And especially as you get older and see how a different family, interacts with each other, which I think Travis and his kids, I think it just provided a different perspective where it pulled them apart even a little bit more, not in a negative way, but just it gave her a different perspective.
Totally. And she was able to kind of create this bubble for herself and then live within that bubble. I don't mean that in like a Teresa Giudice love bubble way. I truly mean she was able to create that family that she had been wanting. And I think that was really appealing to her.
I think what it is too is that Travis's family is no stranger to reality TV either.
People forget about Meet the Barkers. People forget all of this stuff.
And so I just think that, like, yes, she saw this family that maybe had a little bit different of a dynamic and was drawn to the dynamic they had, and maybe isolating herself from her family and leaning more towards her new family was something that she needed for herself. But I don't think it's the type of thing where she has this bubble that exists with her, quote, new family and then wants to walk away from it altogether. I think Kourtney is just somebody who wants what she wants when she wants it. So when she wakes up one day and feels like filming, that's going to be a good Kourtney day on TV. And if she wakes up one day and says, not for me today, we're never getting her near those cameras.
I will say this, and this made me laugh about myself, but in a good way, was that when we found out Kourtney was pregnant, which we see that scene at the Blink-182 concert that we had seen on social media, was that I remember hearing the news and I was almost like, yes, Yeah, I almost teared up because I was like, we did it. Because I've seen, and then I was like, you flipping idiot. This isn't, you're not related to her. But I was, and I've been mad at Courtney from the show at times, but I was like, I got emotional about it. And I was like, what is wrong with you? This isn't your actual family.
Nothing is wrong with you, by the way.
There's two wrong people to ask.
We're the delusional leading the delusional. We can't help you there. But I know I had the same reaction.
Right. And this is said as two people who, if we're choosing, are Team Kim 100%, but I still am overwhelmingly happy for Courtney. This is what she's wanted for so long.
I know. How do anybody got eyes on Scott? I don't know. It's crazy. Like, is he all right?
I think so. I would say that I always try to have. I always try to have eyes on Scott. Yeah. I would label myself as a Scott Disick apologist for sure.
So you're kind of like a Kris Jenner in that sense, where she will apologize for the men in their lives, even though they made mistakes to lose the people initially, lose the ladies.
I would say that I wouldn't classify myself in that way, but I would say that I can appreciate a redemption arc. And I think that we've seen a redemption arc from Scott. And I also think that whether you love him or hate him, there is a level of entertainment and comedy that Scott brings to the show that not one other person in that family is ever capable of bringing. I think that when you go back and you watch the show, he has had the best one-liners in the history of the show.
He'll play ball. He'll do a scene with them, like, yeah, I'll do a scene with MJ. Hey, Clojo. Like, he's game for anything. He's like, I just want to be in this. Like,
and I can appreciate that.
Yes, and I think he's hysterically funny, even though I got a little tired of the Art Vandelay stuff. But that was right. Yeah. But I think he's great. You say a redemption arc, and I sometimes wonder, well, what is his actual redemption? What did he do besides being funnier than Courtney? He pops on camera more than Courtney. What did he do to redeem himself? Is it just being a good father? Or are there other examples to point to about why they keep him so tight into this family?
I would say that a huge piece of it is losing both of his parents. And I think that, when you watch Scott over the years, there was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of things he did wrong, and then he did right, and then he did wrong again. And I think that we've watched him kind of bounce all over the place. But I think when we saw him at his lowest was when he was grieving the loss of both of his parents. And Kris Jenner said to him, like, we are your family. Like, you do not have a family because you are an only child who lost both of your parents. So automatically, like, you are part of us now, and we will never leave you behind. And so I think to watch somebody go through the lowest moment of their lives on camera and really show us, like, we remember him showing up to Courtney's house drunk at 11 o'clock in the morning trying to get in. And it was a really low moment. And it was the type of moment where, as the audience, you say, like, I don't know how on board I can be with this guy, but to watch him, be able to say, okay, now in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, I'm going to get the help I need when I need it. For him to go to rehab and then have those, pictures of him released on camera.
Which, by the way, we never saw that scene. They cut that scene out of the show.
Did they?
I remember seeing it in the trailer, and then it never actually came on the actual show.
That's I can't remember. It's hard to remember.
But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But then I was like, oh, that's so weird. I'm just curious. Like, listen, I am a huge Scott fan, even saying all of this. I just find it's another one of those interesting things about.
It is.
And we're repeating it. I mean, I really dislike Tristan Thompson. I really dislike him. And I think Courtney even has a great moment in the trailer where it's like, I don't think you deserve Chloe. To Tristan Thompson. Like, finally, one of the sisters is saying something directly to his face.
Oh, listen, I know we don't know the full context of that conversation, but even just hearing her say that felt so validating. I just want to say in response to the Scott thing, we are now in, like, way the post-Courtney Scott era, right? Like, Courtney is married and has a child on the way with Travis Barker. That ship has so sailed. And in the beginning, I mean, for a while there, we wanted Scott and Courtney back together. And clearly that is not the case anymore, and it is so for the better. But I think Scott is also at his best when he is completely separate from Courtney, meaning in the early seasons of the Kardashians, I guess it was season 1, there was so much of that. And that's never going to be Scott's best look. It is never going to be Scott's best look when he is still so tied into the Courtney stuff. And so I think that allowing him to really have his own presence, that Courtney's name isn't even mentioned. They're not talking about Scott as he relates to his grieving journey of grieving Courtney. It's Scott on his own. And to me, when he's just like their brother, that's when he's the most enjoyable.
Yeah, because we don't get, I like it. I think it's always interesting how we almost perceive Rob Kardashian now as some kind of like J.D. Salinger Bigfoot type, where he just went off into the woods and like we don't know, but like, Scott almost fills that role of the brother that will film.
Right.
Certainly. And I mean, so willingly. I think that it's Scott's favorite thing, and nothing brings him more joy, because something we always talk about that people don't, I think, often think of. Not to say this isn't a family that sees each other often, they do, but they have very busy schedules. When they are filming, that is scheduled in time when they are hanging out. And I actually think there's a piece of Scott that loves the fact that he knows when they're filming, that means he's hanging out. Because they have a lot of shit going on. It's like guaranteed family time, honestly.
Speaking of Scott, I just remembered this, that he got into the car accident in the neighborhood. I think that was last season. And then Lamar Odom this week got into a car accident, and supposedly cops came. There was no alcohol involved. That's what the TMZ article said. But then we had Shannon Bedore from Real Housewives of Orange County also having a wreck yesterday. What is it with I drive a Toyota Corolla, and that thing is so reliable. But in these fancy cars, it just seems like they flip like that.
I don't know. I mean, I just have zero tolerance for drinking and driving.
It seems like the most obvious thing in the world, right?
It is just, and I heard, didn't the TMZ article say that Shannon was leaving John's house?
And yes, Shannon was leaving. And then there was I don't know, who knows if this is true or not, said that Shannon and John had been fighting. Somebody had heard them fighting. Then she goes around this dark corner as like Paranormal Activity video and just sees her bumped right into a wall. So she was probably also like texting somebody at the time. And then the dog, this is another housewife thing.
I saw the TMZ article.
Yeah, and then the dog's in the car with her. And you're like, this is crazy. He lives just right around the corner from this area. You couldn't take an Uber?
And she parks the car then in the middle of the street and acts as though she's walking the dog. Listen, I don't want to say it's unsurprising. It is surprising. It's very upsetting, but it's not like we've seen Shannon at her very best. You can tell she's at a breaking point. And so to me, this wasn't overly shocking. It was very disappointing, but it wasn't overly shocking.
I like that you see she's at a breaking point, but I feel like each season she's been at a breaking point.
She has.
I feel like each season we are back exactly. And everybody, Jeff Lewis said, she's like, I don't think Shannon has a drinking problem. I don't think she's an alcoholic. And I'm like, no offense to Jeff, who I like very much. This is a drinking problem. And we've seen examples all over the show of this drinking problem. We see it. We see how she, tries to tear off her mic and say, stop filming. Drinking does not seem to sit well with her. And it's hard because sometimes the viewers, and we see with the Kardashians as well, we're able to see it so clearly, like laser-like, and it takes them years, sometimes decades, to actually catch up to what we see immediately.
Yes, and also, I mean, specifically when it comes to Housewives, and specifically Housewives of Orange County, factually, some of the scenes make, quote, better television when they're drinking. And I wonder how much of a role that plays. Vicky's not coming to Mexico for them to be sober. The second she gets there, they're all pounding shots. And I think they know specifically, you're talking like Tamara, Shannon, these are people that are very conscious of making, quote, good TV. And I wonder what role that plays.
This is something that I think we can attribute to the Kardashians as well, of good TV. What is good TV? And I think we now have a generation of reality stars that think they are producers, that we're making good TV, have another drink. This is so exciting. And I sort of like that now the Kardashians, it's not about drinking and all that. It's more about power and fame. That seems to be sometimes their alcohol, is how much can we do? What is the next frontier? Back to the trailer, it ends with Kourtney saying, "You're just a witch and I hate you," to Kim.
Oh, yeah.
That's brutal. That's really hard.
Tell me if you disagree. While that is brutal, I actually...
While that is bad, yes.
I actually think what was worse in terms of what's potentially stings harder was Kim saying on the phone to Kourtney, "Are you really happy? You hate all of us. We all talk about it." Because I said to Julie yesterday in, I think, our episode that comes out tomorrow, to go that low of a blow of telling the person, even if it's your sister, by the way, we all sit around and talk shit about you. And now Kim was saying that with her full chest. Kim was saying that with the sole intent of deeply hurting Kourtney. Because honestly, I don't think Kim cares as much for Kourtney to call her a witch, because quite frankly, I don't think Kim gives a shit what Kourtney thinks of her. I think for Kourtney to hear Kim say, by the way, not just I think this, we all are sitting around talking about it. Oh, that's rough.
But see, it's things like that like brings her closer to Travis and that thing like that, where she's like, fine, I have my people.
You know what's funny about that we didn't even talk about in our episode? It's like, we were saying in a typical interaction, like if you had an issue with one of your friends, like you do everything in your power to not let it slip that other people are talking about it. Like that is like the most hurtful thing you can say. And so we were kind of putting it in terms of that when we were talking about Kourtney and Kim, where like you do everything in your power to not say to Kourtney's face, we all talk about it. However, the funny part of it that we didn't even say is like, Kourtney knows because it's on camera that they are talking about it. Like all that Kourtney has to do to see everybody talking shit about her and all of the stuff that everybody says is like, turn on the TV.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things, that suspension of disbelief with reality stars, where it's like, I would never be good on it for so many reasons, but I would just be like, look at the tape.
I know.
We have the tape. Like every time Andy does a reunion, I want to be like, have a tape right there where you play it and you make everybody watch it. And then we all agree what we just saw with our own eyes.
I know. That always bothers me. It's like, yes, I appreciate as the viewer getting the film and tape, but I want it live. I want them to have to see.
I just love if there was only some way we could actually see if this happened. Right. Oh, it's on film. That's what we're doing here.
I know.
Okay, so Tristan, that's the other question I had. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but I met Food God the other day. Jonathan
I did see
Chevin,
that.
just at a pizzeria. I was just stopping, just getting a slice, and he was in a pizza. It wasn't a fancy place, and he was there. And
what pizza place was it?
I think it was Made in New York Pizza or something. I think it might have been friends with the owner because he was like talking to us, but it wasn't. It was just something that was open that I was just trying to grab a couple slices, and I was like, big fan, Food God can, and I actually know his name, Jonathan Chevin, but I said Food God, and he was like, yeah, of course. And then he took one with me and he was like, that's blurry. Let's do another one. And I was like, wow, okay. But I got actually nervous meeting Food God as a grown man. I got nervous. It was like crying about Kourtney's pregnancy. I got nervous, but then somebody was like, well, did you ask what's going on with Kim? I'm like, no, I would never do that. And my question to you is, when you meet any of these people, people affiliated with them, makeup, hair, whatever, do you have that urge to be like, what's the real skinny? What's going on?
Honest to God, no. Like, listen, of course, the urge exists on some level, but I think it's the kind of thing where you just have to respect that relationship.
Yeah.
Like, they are never going to tell you. And by the way, nor should they.
Yeah. So don't ask. Like, I wouldn't be like, what's going on with you and Kim? Like, I would never.
Because here's the thing. You're never going to get a response that you want to, that is fulfilling to you. And it only makes you look, I forget about thirsty,
like an amateur.
Just like a little, it's almost disrespectful. It's like, if I'm him, I'm like, you think that I will disrespect my relationship with Kim that I've known for 20 years to this random guy that I'm meeting? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've ruined my relationship with the Kardashians because of Emma and Julie.
Right,
They just have such trusting faces. I shared everything with them. Yeah. If you could ask Kris Jenner one thing, and by the way, this isn't just, we're trying to keep on a good side of Kris Jenner, but she's like, you know what? One thing, whatever it is, I'm going to answer it, and it's not going to make me think any differently of you.
God, the list is all is.
It's a great question. I'm just trying to think of something that we don't know the answer to.
Did your mind go Kim Kanye?
My mind went Kim Kanye, of course, but I was trying to think I know what it is.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Kim is sitting at the table with everybody post Kanye divorce.
Yes, Julie. Yes.
Post Kanye divorce, and she says to them, I will never let anybody treat you guys the way that Kanye treated you. And she makes specific reference to not specific things that Kanye did, but the fact that there were things that occurred where Kanye was not only disrespectful to Kim herself, but disrespectful to the entire family. And there were specific incidences that took place that we don't know about. I think that if I had to ask Kris Jenner a question, and it would definitely be something Kanye related, but I think that it would specifically be, what is it that happened with the rest of the family that we don't know about?
Yeah, because by the way, there's stuff that we do know about. We saw the way that he went after them on social media. Think about what we don't know. Such a good answer. Yes.
Do you have any other follow-up questions?
I mean, I have a million, but in this current moment, that's where I'm going with.
If Kourtney wants to get back at Kim, she should start wearing all that Yeezus merch again. Because Kourtney loved wearing a free Yeezus t-shirt.
They were close.
Yeah, do you remember them? The movies at Calabasas all the time? They would always get paparazzi'd there?
Yeah, I mean, they were also close, I think, because Kourtney, and I don't know if I could say this definitively, but out of all of them, she certainly, is very religious, which I think Kanye related to and they connected on. The issue with her wearing the Yeezy stuff now would be that it's not even a fuck you to Kim. It would only make her look bad. Like she's getting canceled then. In an effort to spite Kim, she then gets canceled for wearing Yeezy.
If she really wants to fuck with Kim without getting canceled, she'll throw a Chris Humphries jersey on.
Yeah.
True. Okay, last two Kardashian things before as we start wrapping up here. So, by the way, happy American Horror Story Delicate premiere day.
Yes.
Kim Kardashian's first recurring role on a major television show premieres today on FX. Now, my question, though, is Kim can't promote this because of the strike.
Right.
Now, do you think she is livid because she is so good in this, so proud of it, wants to scream it from the rooftops, or do you think she's like, you know what, I don't even think I was that good in it, so it's kind of cool. Like, I got to be in it, but nobody's going to really make a big deal about it?
The former.
Yeah.
I do.
That she's going crazy?
Yeah.
I think she's going crazy, but I don't think she's going crazy in the sense of like, oh my God, I was so good. I need everybody to see this Emmy-winning performance. I think she's going crazy in the sense of like, she wants to post a picture, not video of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think she like would be, if somebody said to her, like, you know, you can't promote it in a way where you're showing off your lines and your acting skills, but you know, you can show the fact you were in it. She would be equally as happy with those things. I think she's livid, but I think that as Kim, she has a lot of trust that like everybody's just going to do it for her.
Yes. Okay. I agree with that. I do though also think part of the reason that a brand, a streaming service, whatever it is, brings on a Kardashian, specifically Kim, is because of the level of exposure, which of course then translates, hopefully, if all goes as planned, to clicks, to views. And so I think that one of the ways that Kim wants to show I did this and I did this really well is by the conversion rate. And listen, if you're a diehard Kim Kardashian fan, you're going to watch regardless. But I think she wants the opportunity to share that with her 300-something million followers, because that's something that no one else on that cast can bring that she can bring, just that level of exposure.
I wonder if they're going to cover that on the reality show. That's a way to promote it without having to promote it.
I'm so curious. I mean, they could even talk about this particular, not necessarily in detail, but she could talk about not really being able to promote it. I don't know. I'm curious.
The thing with Kim and the, exposure is that the beauty of how viral a moment Kim being in a show like American Horror Story is again, everybody does the work for her. So without having to post to her 300 million followers, you can see the effects of her virality just by everybody else posting it for her. It's like, because for example, with American Horror Story, you have big fans of that show. You have people that will post certain clips of it, but you won't have the internet talking about it. You won't have people that have never turned on American Horror Story, or you won't have people who, like Emma Roberts is on screen and that's great and they move on. But the shock factor of seeing Kim in an acted role will have everybody posting about it, whether they do it because they like Kim, because they don't like Kim, because they think it's funny that she's on there, because she'll give us a viral moment. Like it is a really rare thing where during the strike, she stands out as something where like all of that advertising and all of that conversion of her virality automatically gets done for her without her having to lift a finger as much as she would want to. We'll be able to see that, that conversion rate without, her having to do anything. It'll just exist.
I always love when we talk about things like conversion rate. It's great when a conversion rate, when one conversion rate meets another conversion rate, and then they have kid conversion rates. It's just a beautiful way. No, I think, and also for anybody listening, there is no way she's going to be bad in this, because she just, I said, like, she would write it into her contract that she gets extra takes if she needed. Like, they would not make her look stupid in any way, because I think part of her brand is, I get to make sure that I'm good in this. I bet she coached within an inch of her life on it with an acting coach. I bet she, I bet so many things she made sure. We see how hard she works. There's no way she's bad in this.
She doesn't put herself in a situation to look stupid anymore. She did that for too many years. She's not doing that. This is the same woman that was crying her first Met Gala in the floral Givenchy for everyone saying she was a sofa. She's not letting that happen
again. That was
again.
An unfortunate, yeah. What is it with Kanye when he sometimes just hates women so much he puts them in just we see it with Bianca Censori now, where he's making her wear couch cushions. Like, it's not even the couch floral print, it's literal couch cushions over a nude body stocking.
A misogynist that has that type of access to money is very scary.
It really is. Okay, so I wanted to ask a couple pop culture. Oh, wait, Timothy Kylie. Are they here to stay?
Obsessed. I don't know how long, but obsessed.
He's so tiny. I keep saying this. He's so tiny, though. He's little teeny tiny.
Some girls are into it. By the way, it's not like Travis Scott is some macho guy.
I don't know. No, I'm not a fan of Travis Scott. I don't know. For some reason, I just am still shocked, but it seems like they're winning people over slowly. And we think it's a real relationship, right?
Yes. Oh, 1,000%.
I mean, if you're at Beyonce, that's real.
But also, we've never seen this from Kylie. Think about it. We see Tyga and Travis Scott. That is it. Not saying people didn't happen.
That is wild to think about the Tyga of it all, too.
Yeah.
Is that this is, what a left turn. And we were talking about on Monday's episode is her style is starting to like come. It's like a little more alternative, a little not as flashy. I'm curious if she's going to get rid of some of the Lamborghinis. Like, I know it'll be interesting to see what this relationship brings for her, because in the trailer for season 4, Kylie's like, I'm feeling myself again.
And it is so evident. I mean, for them to do that public of an outing, they must really be feeling it, I think.
You guys got 10 more minutes?
Yeah,
okay,
of course.
Cool. Okay, moving a little bit on from the Kardashians, just to get a couple of things in here. Chris Evans got married. How do we feel?
Happy for him.
Happy for her. I mean, I can't.
Happy for her. Yeah.
Happy for her. Yeah, her name is Alba Baptista, and there is a little bit of an age difference. Are we good with the age difference?
I'm fine with the age difference.
We're fine with the age difference.
It's not a hill I'm going to die on, yeah.
Okay. Is there any hill you're going to die on with the Chris Evans thing?
No. Not with this particular thing.
He also says today that he's probably going to do one film a year. That's already like, this article should just be like, I'm ready to be a stay-at-home dad. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting how many women really lost their shit when he got married.
Well, something we were talking about with this is like, listen, that's a tale as old as time. You know, celebrity male heartthrob gets married, and all of a sudden the women that have had this fantasy of dating him for so long freak out because now it no longer feels feasible. Meanwhile, it was never feasible in the first place, but now it really doesn't. The difference with Chris Evans, and I think maybe one of the reasons it hit so hard, is because, and maybe we always talk about why this is. Maybe it's because of his Boston roots and kind of his more casual nature, and the fact that he just likes to be seen in a baseball hat and a t-shirt. He always had this weird sense of attainability while simultaneously being so unattainable. And so I think that the reason that this marriage hit harder than your average male heartthrob is because every woman on some level thought, you know what? If I like ran into him in Boston, I could probably make it happen.
I love that you're like, he wore a baseball hat sometimes. That's obtainable. So if men wear a baseball, if a guy wears a baseball hat, that's obtainable.
I mean,
yes, but if he flips it backwards, no longer attainable. There's rules here.
Sorry, Fred Durst. That's wild. So he is off the market. Now, who are both of your ladies? Who are your Chris Evans? Who's the guy that would you would lose it? It would be a hard day if you found out they got married, or maybe they're already married.
Justin Bieber already got married. That was. I wouldn't say it was
Happy
a tough day
by the way,
for
they
me.
just celebrated their 5th anniversary last week. Haley and Justin.
A conversation we were having on the podcast recently is, and we'll do this thing where like, if we're talking about celebrity couples, we're like just complete hypotheticals of like male celebrities you'd want to hook up with or whatever. She'll be like so overly respectful of the marriage they're in, even though it's hypothetical. So she'll be like, oh, you know, I was going to say this person, but I just remembered they're married. I'm like, you can still say it because it's not happening. Like, you're not disrespecting anybody by hypothetically saying.
I really believe in myself. I really.
And so we were saying, I was like, I don't really ever do that. But like, when it comes to Justin and Haley, I like won't even go. I'm like, you know, I love Justin. Like, he was my crush since I was little, but like he's married and I just won't touch that.
That's a class. You're a class act.
And she does that with, the only one you don't do it with is Ben Affleck and J-Lo.
Right.
Ben Affleck's your guy.
Yeah, he's one of. I just
wait. You guys can't see. She did this little inhale. She's like, when I said Ben Affleck's your guy, she goes.
He gets me. Yeah, he kind of gets me hot and bothered. I don't know exactly where it comes from. It wasn't always, but in the last maybe 5-10 years, something shifted.
Maybe it was the J-Lo marriage make it even more, like the crush even intensified.
Yes,
once
absolutely.
He settled down.
I mean, listen, he was towards the end of the Jennifer Gardner relationship. That was. I have always loved Jennifer Gardner, and I definitely did not think that he was, you know, his best self in terms of the way that he was towards her and that whole situation. So yes, I think the version we've seen of Ben Affleck recently, you know, he's sitting across from Ice Spice in a Dunkin' commercial. That's doing it for me. I'm not going to tell you it's not.
You like the Ice Spice commercial with Ice Spice and Ben Affleck is great.
Yeah,
I like this Ben Affleck, which by the way, he was at Melrose Trading Post, which is like a swap meet on Melrose in Los Angeles. He was there with J-Lo this past Sunday.
Yeah, I saw
that. And I go to Melrose. I was like, I just couldn't imagine just walking around and seeing Ben Affleck and J-Lo at a swap meet.
Oh, I would lose it.
I would lose it.
I mean, you would definitely lose it.
Maybe it's just like Boston guys.
You think?
Well,
wait, does Matt Damon
He doesn't really. I mean, he doesn't not do it for me, but he doesn't.
No,
really.
not particularly.
I did have a situation in college that. A very Boston guy, so maybe I do have a little bit.
Wait. You had a situation in college? What is a situation? You had a situation?
Exactly what it sounds like.
What is that?
We never dated.
Did you have a boyfriend?
No.
Literally, I had a situation.
Yeah, we just hooked up for all 4 years, never once dated.
Wait, that's a boyfriend. I'm sorry to let you know. You had a situation for 4 years?
It was just a casual thing.
Call it that based on descriptions that I've heard. But
wait, you didn't even get to meet the guy? You just got written descriptions?
Well, something that's funny is that Em is 2 years older than me, so we went to school together and met at school, but we were 2 years apart. So you have a whole college life that I had.
She doesn't even know about.
I had a whole college life. Yeah.
If you were that Boston gentleman, I need you to reach out to SoBadIt'sGood@gmail.com. I would love to have you on the show and talk more about this situation.
And by the way, I think he'd say nothing but beautiful things. So.
No, I don't think. No. Okay, so Ben Affleck, Justin Bieber. It would be great if Haley reached out to you and be like, I heard what you're saying, and I respect that you respect us, but I just need you to stop saying his name entirely.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I don't think she would. Like,
I think she loves it.
Because I love her equally. Like, we could,
Yeah.
You saw Beyonce's tour this summer. I mean, what can you say? I mean, I did not get to see the tour, and it just breaks my heart because I've seen her so many times, but stuff was happening. What can you say about the tour itself, the concert?
They haven't added enough words to the English language to accurately capture what that tour is.
It's magic, right? From everything that I've heard and seen.
I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I would like to add that taking chocolate mushrooms certainly enhances the experience visually, but that or not, it's unfucking believable.
Now, Beyonce, just to let everybody know, she makes the audience take magic mushrooms during the show. No, I didn't want to bring up that, but that is that's a way to enjoy Beyonce even more. That's like for the advanced Beyonce fan.
I could have been dead sober, alone, without a single friend there, and I think that it still would have been the greatest night of my life.
Beyonce's the only person that I've seen solo. Like, no, I've seen other concerts solo, but it was like a no-brainer of like, I'll just go by myself. Like, and I had the best time ever because she's just really, I feel like if God exists, like she's touched by some sort of holy power.
Yes, and also, we didn't go and we went the three of us, but the camaraderie among the crowd is enough to make you feel like you're not alone because everyone is having the same reaction you are.
Yeah. Everybody's a friend. Everybody. If you are, I totally agree with that. Also, this summer, you were just at a farm with your dad and your dad's friend, right?
Yes.
Now, that's Emma, by the way, her dad, like, I'm a huge fan of your dad, and I've never met him. And I'm like, now, as I'm taking more care of my dad, I'm like, this is how you gotta be, man. Like, this is now we're competing with Emma and her dad, me and you, dad. And I'm like, but how was the farm life?
The farm was
explain to the people what you did.
Okay. Well, I just want to say I really appreciate you saying that. And I also have to say that part of the reason the farm was so magical and any experience with my dad and my friends is so magical is because of the relationship my friends have with my dad. Like, you don't know, Julie and my dad are, when I tell you best friends, that's not an exaggeration. Like, they are so close. It's for me as his kid and as an only child to feel like my friends genuinely, they'd rather hang out with him than me. And it warms my heart in a way I can't express. Anyway, we went to rural Wisconsin for Labor Day weekend. My dad's friend has this 175-acre farm in the middle of Wisconsin. Amazing. We literally just hung out in sweatpants, got super high, and tripped on mushrooms. And it was one of the most healing and beautiful weekends I've ever had. Would you agree with that?
It was the best. There was just nowhere. Okay. No, it was actually genuinely... We went with our two other friends, Jake and Carly, also, and I don't think that I have ever laughed that much over the course of 2 days, specifically being in fucking rural Wisconsin. Like, it was just, I can't.
I was looking at pictures of it. I was like, this looks amazing.
We got more content than people get at the Met Gala for a weekend in Wisconsin.
Yes, because the thing people have to remember is that every single one of my dad's friends he's had since he was 5. So this is his best friend in Brooklyn from 5 years old. And now for me and my best friends to be there with them, there's nothing more special than that.
Yeah, your dad has a great smile too. That sounds so weird, actually, but he's always like, yeah, he's a great smile,
just a great guy.
Yeah, I love that. Which I truly love always seeing your dad on any content. Now, going into the winter here, what are we looking forward to besides Kardashians?
I mean, I am a certified slut for Southern Charm. So
My God.
I had no idea what she was about to say. I was like,
how are you with Southern Charm, Julie? Yeah,
I would say
I am a serial killer for Southern Charm.
Well, okay.
I'm like a junior high, like I'm a middle schooler. I'm like, I'll play around a little bit.
I'm an over the bra kind of.
I'm an OTPHJ for Southern Charm.
Oh no, I am no fucks given with that one. Yeah, I mean that intro.
You're a Lauren Boebert at Beetlejuice
Yes.
for Southern Charm. Yeah.
Yes, get me Shep Rose at Hamilton. Forget about it.
Okay, I'm seriously worried about Shep Rose. Like,
no. I don't actually. Okay, this is our whole thing. This is what we always say. I don't actually have any like. There's no part of me that would want to date a member of Southern Charm. However, they are all just so tall. And there's something about that just from a visual perspective.
The tall thing. Every girl says the tall thing. It's not like they didn't the tall.
I know.
It's just genetics.
I know how it sounds. Trust me, I'm not at all, basing their morals on that. But there's something over 6'1" that just does it for me.
You know that meme that's like, girl meets the devil, and it's like, ooh, how tall are you? I don't know, 6'5", 6'7" with the horns. It's like, ooh, with the horns. It's like, that's her.
I see that. What upsets me about that, because if then Shep does find out, he's going to go after you, and then he's going to end up hurting. Then we have another 4-year college situation relationship.
No. I promise, it's not that would be a one night thing.
Are you guys going to do BravoCon? No, you're not going to do BravoCon, are you? You're going to do BravoCon?
I am.
You're going to Vegas?
Yeah.
Are you covering it for the show?
Yeah, of course.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, me and Isabel are going.
Okay, well, I'm going to come in and bother your recordings for
1,000%. We'll have the
That's
best
amazing.
time.
Okay, you're looking forward to Southern Charm.
Yes.
Anything that you're looking forward to in the...
I know, I should have been coming up with an answer this entire time.
Yeah.
The Kardashians.
Kardashians is coming back, but he said besides Kardashians. I don't know. I don't know what TV show and movies and stuff are coming out because of the strike.
Yeah, that is true.
Usually I would say award show season because that starts January, but I don't know.
They pushed the Emmys back to January, and I think they're going to have to re-push that again. The Oscars are going to get pushed. Everything's going to get pushed, and then we're going to start feeling it in terms of actual movie releases next year. They postponed Dune 2. Sorry, Kylie. And Timothy can't promote Dune 2, so they pushed that.
It's not even sorry, Kylie. It's sorry us that we don't get that red carpet of the two of them.
She must have been so looking forward to that. If you got a Dune 2 Kylie Jenner Timothy moment
with Zendaya and Tom as well.
Can you imagine Kris Jenner and Corey Gamble at the Dune 2 premiere?
I can. Yeah. No, I can. I can see it.
Corey. And by the way, Kris is so defending Tristan all the time. Why didn't Kris Jenner just date Tristan? Get rid of Corey and you date Kris if it matters this much to you.
Corey got her in with Beyonce and Jay-Z. He's not going anywhere.
He goes, I just signed a 2-year extension with Kris after I made this Beyonce thing happen. And finally, this Ice Spice drink, you talked about Ben Affleck. Would you ever try the Dunkin' Donuts Ice Spice Munchkin drink?
I mean, if someone had it and they wanted me to take a sip, I would happily do so. I wouldn't order
kicking
it.
myself that I did not have 3 drinks ready right now.
But it's not my type of a drink, but I would not, I would happily try a sip.
Do you know how many calories one is?
Well,
it's like a lot.
It's like over 1,100 calories.
Yeah.
And you guys, it is reminiscent of the texture of a cookies and cream shake, but they have caramel coffee flavors, and then they're actually going to do pumpkin spice. But what they do is they actually crush up the munchkins and blend it in, and then put caramel and chocolate syrup once, then more munchkins, crush that up, and then more caramel and chocolate syrup, and then they give that to people.
The way I feel about it is just like if I like want to have a munchkin, I'll just have I would rather have a munchkin just as a munchkin.
Yeah, if you just blend up things, that's like why not just throw.
Exactly. If I really want to indulge, I want to feel myself chewing it. And I'm a fast drinker. What, I'm going to drink that whole thing in 30 seconds and not even get the benefit of the taste?
Like, I mean, do you think anybody's just going to just drop dead immediately after? Like, I feel like if I had one, like, that's it. Lights out for me. Like, and can you imagine? I was joking about that. That's like that Saw movie where they just torture people. Like the new Saw, they just make somebody drink four of these Ice Spice drinks in a row. Like, you're just going to, insides are going to die.
I'm sure delicious, though.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Especially especially after some magic mushroom. Anyways, you girls, Comments by Celebs is the podcast. Subscribe, rate that 5 stars immediately. They do 3 episodes a week. We don't have your third half with us right now that does the Bravo episodes. Isabel Greenberg, correct? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just amazing. All 3 of these women are amazing. And of course, you all already follow their Instagram. But if you don't, Comments by Celebs, Comments by Bravo. What are the other iterations?
We have comments by athletes, comments by
Bachelor.
Bachelor. Yeah.
How do you do it all? And then they took the time to do this with us today. So thank you, ladies, so much.
Of all, no, we were really so honored that you asked us, and we're always here. You ask, we're here.
Well, you're coming back on tomorrow now,
right.
so that's great. And also,
Can't
just
wait.
on a personal note, just to know the type of people they are, they both reached out to me after my mom passed and just said the most wonderful things. And I will never forget that. And that's just the kind of people they are. And that meant a lot to me. So thank you so much for that. And anything else to promote for you guys?
No, nothing to promote.
Okay,
Covered
well,
it.
Yes.
okay. This was awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.